All right. Hey, everyone. Okay, so thank you guys all for being here. We are going to take on a power planning your schedule. And this is going to be an interactive training. We are going to work and we're going to just create the intention for this training is to teach you how to plan a schedule, how to create a schedule that works for you so that you can show up in all the areas that you need to show up, so that there's freedom and ease around your schedule, and so that you're just not having to go by the seat of your pants. Not to say that that won't ever happen, but at least you'll have something to go by. And it's not the first time that we have heard proper planning prevents poor performance, right? And I don't always like using the word poor for anything, but it is a reality that, our performance can be up here or it can be down here, right? And when we have a powerful schedule, when we know what we have to do, when we have to do it, it takes away the stress of like sitting down, being like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Is that background noise too much? Can you guys hear it? There's somebody sawing something. Okay. Okay. So first thing there is to do is to have a calendar or a planner. Okay. Does everybody have something that they're currently using right now, or do you have something that you can currently work with right now? Okay. Awesome. And what I will do, not to say that everybody has to use what I use, but I will share what I use and what my clients use so that, just because it may spark something new for you and you may try something new or whatever, but the bottom line is to do something that works for you, that that you'll utilize, that you'll pay attention to. Okay. So I use a paper planner, and this paper planner, right? The paper planner that I use is broken up into 15-minute increments. And I open the page. When I open the page, I can see Monday through, so you can't really see it, but Monday through Sunday. So I open my book and I see my whole entire week, right? And when you do pen to paper, it's been proven it is like super powerful for brain dumping, for remembering, all that stuff. So one is having a planner. Let me turn. One is having a planner, okay, something that works for you. Number two is if you're using a paper planner, my suggestion would be to write in pencil all the time. And that is so that when something comes up, or if you have to change things around, you want to be able to erase it and put something, rewrite it or put it somewhere else or whatnot. So because what's going to happen if you're having to constantly, well, even sometimes like scribble things out, and you're looking at a piece of scribbled paper on a regular, like, I don't know about you, but that would like have my brain sad, right? So that would really stress me out. Okay. So number two is have a pencil. Okay. So what you want to do is, look at your day, right? Look at your week, and then take those things what we're going to do is we're going to organize and prioritize your tasks, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to look in your schedule, like what are the non-negotiables that you have to do? Like if you have a job, whether you work at home or you leave the house, like that's something that you have to do every day, right? If your kids have a doctor's appointment, and I know that we're in like unique times, but I'm just giving you an example of what it looks like to organize and prioritize, right? If your kids have doctor's appointments, if you have clients, if you have a meeting with your boss, whatnot, those are things that are non-negotiables that you just have to do, right? So those are the things that you would put in your planner first, okay? So right now, take those, like look at your week, or actually first on a side note piece of paper, like prioritize, like know what are the things, what are your non-negotiables that you have coming up next week. So take a minute to write those down.
Would you include like your workouts under that?
Yeah, and we're going to get to those too. Oh yeah, we're going to include workouts. We're going to include drive time. We're going to include shower time, like everything. All right, so you should have like a good idea of what are those non-negotiables, like reoccurring every week or whatnot, right? So now what we're gonna do in pencil preferably, but if you're not using pencil, just don't show me. It's fine. I don't have to know that. Um, but what we're gonna do is so now we have that list, right? We are going to go in and we are going to input, and we'll just do 1 week just so that we don't, so that we can kind of go through the whole process of what it is. But you're
And we're
going
working
to,
on next week, right?
yep. Well, you can do from like today to next Tuesday if you want, so that you can get, if you don't have this week already planned out.
I don't have anything planned out, love.
Well, then, Holly, let's just start with today. I'm all about meeting people where they're at. You know that.
We'll start with tomorrow because today's like going to be whatever today's going to
Today's
be.
today. Yeah. All right. We'll start with tomorrow. So, like, what are those appointments, work times, all those things that are non-negotiable that you cannot move? Put those into your schedule for the next week.
Okay.
And we'll take a minute to do that.
Kristen, question.
Yep.
So like tomorrow I have clinic, so I have appointments starting at 8:30 in the morning till whenever they finish.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cool just to time block that, or do you want like me to get super detailed and put in each individual? Yeah. Okay.
So see you. So here's
The look on your face answered the question.
So here's the thing with that. First, just if so when you say go to clinic, like you're going to a place.
Well, I'm going to be like here, but
Okay.
I have appointments with patients in my 9 to 5 job from like 8:30 till 1 tomorrow.
Okay. So what you can first do is time block. So you can put in clinic, right? And you're going to block off that time. And we will go to that next step after. So for right now, you can just block that. You can just time block those couple hours.
I already can tell I need a new planner.
I can give you the model number for the one that I use.
You can just.
I'll actually throw that in there just so it's on the recording too. But the one that I use is literally a Staples store brand. And like I said, it's broken up into 15-minute increments. The model number for this specific planner is 12940.
Okay, I just went on to staples.com and it says guaranteed delivery by tomorrow.
Oh.
So I just went ahead and ordered that one, and so we'll see what happens.
Oh, good. See, they know that that's suggested by Kristen Alexander. So they're like, oh, if somebody's ordering that, that means Kristen wants them to have it. So we have to have them send it up.
I didn't realize you had such great reach.
See?
She's incredible.
I have secrets.
Yeah, I think because what I'm using is only really going to allow me to time block. It's not going to let me get as detailed as, yeah. It's just not.
All right. Well, and today we'll work with whatever you have, and then you can do whatever.
Into my online stuff and detail it out until but I prefer pen and paper.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. So apparently they're shipping them quickly. So that'd be good.
Yeah.
Um,
No, shipping quickly is a new phenomenon in shelter in place.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, all right. So basically, is everyone set as far as having kind of your top non-negotiables, like your high priority items that you can't change around? Does everybody have those in place? Give me a thumbs up if you're good on that part. Okay, awesome. Okay, so Holly, here we go for the next step. So what we're gonna do in those areas, we're gonna look at those, and we are going to really just go one step deeper. And we're gonna if there's anywhere in there that has you driving somewhere, you're gonna block off drive time. Okay, so do that. And that's when you have to drive home too. Don't forget, you do eventually have to come back. So you've got to allot for that time. All right, and give me a shout when you guys are done with that part.
I'm good.
Okay. Yes, you good?
I don't go anywhere.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Then you're done.
Yeah. I only have one day this week that I actually have to go somewhere, and that's on Thursday. I'm actually
Okay.
deployed for COVID testing. So
Okay, got it. Okay, so you got the drive time in. Now take those next things that are, you have your non-negotiables already time blocked. So we're gonna go into detail on those in a minute. But take your next things, like your next prioritized things, your workouts, do you have time blocked out that you're meal prepping or cooking or like any of those? Take those next things that really are a priority, that those are the things that first quickly fall out. And what that looks like is, oh, I didn't have enough time, so I didn't get my workout in, or I didn't have enough time to cook, so we ordered out, or those kind of things. So take those things, and it's up to you as far as with your working from home and creating your own schedule. Like, it's up to you, whatever you're creating for your work around that. You guys, like, however, like if your work is in the morning, then time block that off. If your work is in the afternoon, you could have an hour in the morning, a half hour in the afternoon, and an hour at night. So just block those times off, so that you know what time you have for work in. And if you're able to, Holly, I know it's super, super early for you, but
not that early. It's like 10:30.
No, I meant what I was saying was for the power hour in the morning. So, for those of you that have been getting on that, like, book that off for time, right? So that's there. If that's something that's been making a difference for you, book that off for time. So take a couple minutes to do that. Put in your work time, put in your workout time, put in your meal prep time, all that stuff.
I need to switch to paper.
And it's just a suggestion that your partner, your spouse, whoever that person is for you, that they would love some space in your calendar. So I would like to think that that would be somewhat close to the top of the priority list, at least with workouts and eating. So I know, like, for instance, like what I do is John's days off change every week, right? So what I do when I know he's going to be off, that's how I shift my work days and my work times, right? So if I know he's going to be off, then I try to give myself the same day off. So I actually mark that, like I mark off with a line down. And, so I don't just leave it open and pretend like that I'm not going to put anything in there. Because if there's not a line through my day, guess what's going to happen? Things are going to go in there. So I actually physically, and this is the thing about the pen to paper, when you can physically check something off that you did, when you can physically put a line down the paper so that you're giving yourself a day off. This also, guys, this also is creating this schedule to have you show up everywhere is also a huge part of mindset, because you're giving yourself permission to be in those places. You're not wondering where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to be doing, right? So it's a huge part of mindset too, which is why I'm like and we'll get to the point where, okay, if you're going to work out, well, even if you don't work out, showers are good, right? So it's always good to put shower time in there, because it's not like you just don't need time to, like, shower takes time, right? Just like driving takes time. But those are the things that we tend to leave out, are the things that we would do on a normal, but we don't think that somehow we don't think it requires time that is justified to go into our planner. And sometimes if it's not written down and we can't see it, it doesn't happen. That was my excuse for last week around showers anyways.
I think I showered 3 times yesterday.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well,
Oh, good. I'll use one of yours so I won't have to shower tomorrow.
I showered before I left the house.
Yeah,
Then I came home because I'd been in the hospital, so I showered when I got home.
of course.
Then I worked out.
Yeah.
I showered after I worked out.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. So you're good.
It was very
Personal hygiene is a plus. Yes.
the
Max
shower
and Molly do not want showers.
important,
Yeah.
especially when I'm in
Yep. So, hey, none of your business. So also now look at those areas, right? Like, look at all the things that you've marked off. And do you want to look at having some buffer time in there, right? You want to look at having, okay, great, Holly. So we'll work on that. That's perfect. You want to look at somehow, somewhere having some buffer time. Okay. And that can be catch up time. That can be, I'm going to actually sit and eat my lunch for 15 minutes. Like, that can be whatever that needs to be. But you really want to try to create some sort of buffer time a couple times throughout your day. Okay. Yep. So look at where you can create that buffer time.
So here's a question.
What's
So
that?
you plan out your day. So like I have tomorrow pretty well planned out, sort of, kind of. But I'm basically working till 4:30. Then from 5 to 6, I'm gonna do soul, and then dinner prep and eat dinner at 7. Spin at 8:30, shower at 9, and then of course bed and downtime.
Yep.
What happens when your husband says, "Oh, by the way, I said we're having game night tonight"?
Yeah. You're like, okay, well, that's awesome. That's the freedom of being able to, like,
But
have my own schedule, right?
but then something has to give.
Right, exactly. So say that's during your soul work time, right? Right. Say that's during that time, or whatever it is that's, coming up. What you want to look at doing, and this was something we're going to get to anyway, so I'll just do it now. Part of having your own business, whether it's your full-time business or your side business, right, is the power and freedom to be able to say how it goes, right? So, and there's also, you want to be able to do those things that come up last minute, because you can, right? Because you get to say how it goes, right? But then there's also that, like, okay, where do I continue to hold myself accountable, right? Because if we do too many of those fun freedom things, right, and we're not fulfilling on that other commitment that we have, it's not going to be a balance anymore, right? So what you would do is you would look at whatever, if something comes up, whatever has to give in order for that to happen, just put it somewhere else. Maybe the next day you're going to do 2 hours of soul work. Or what you can do is like, say it happened in the morning. He's like, hey, let's go to breakfast and go for a walk. Let's do something like that. But that was like your work time. You're like, okay, that's cool. Even though I had an hour and a half booked off for soul, what I'll do is, okay, you know what? I can do a half hour, or I can do 45 minutes when I get home from work tomorrow, right? And then Thursday, I can do another half hour or another 45 minutes. So just don't let that stuff just disappear. Just replace it somewhere else. So what that does is it still gives you, you're still fulfilling on your commitment of your time, right? But you're also allowing yourself the freedom to be able to do the things that come up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Brandy and I were kind of chatting a little bit about like how having that 9 to 5 really hampers, having like that set schedule with Soul. And I know she's at work, so I know she's listening, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to come up with that because all of a sudden, your entire day is your 9 to 5, and then you have to take your routine and get everything else in there.
Absolutely. And
And
maybe you need to look at like, maybe you're not going to have work time for your side business every single day.
oh,
You
that's a
know,
possibility, huh?
may and this is why we're doing a training on it, right?
Well, there's the mindset that at least I'm coming from, that's been instilled in me in the last 2 years, is that it's soul first and everything else second. And so it's hard to flip the switch to make it, and that's why like you were like so refreshing, and I'll say this time and again, and I'll probably say it in a year from now, but your philosophy of your life has to work for your business to work
Mhm.
is something I've been like looking for like the 4 years that I've been doing um, network marketing.
Awesome. So then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And having it be soul doesn't cut, like having it be like, this is when I can like really put my focus into soul, right? And maybe it's 2 days a week, maybe it's 3 days a week, but it's not going to work if you're trying to do it 5 days a week. In those 5 days, you're not focused. Like you're not going to be productive, right? So you're not serving yourself, you're not serving your members, and you're certainly not serving soul, right? So what you do is you look at like what is workable, and that's part of this whole structure is like, having a schedule that is workable for you and your schedule, right? So look at maybe, when you look ahead, and that's why like we do it, week by week, look ahead, like what are your work days? What are your out of the house work days? And if you don't have enough time, to work in soul that day, then that's not a day that you do it. Or what you do is, like I know Brandy has a regular Monday through Friday, like she's consistent 9 to 5. I know yours kind of varies a little bit.
Just like this conversation, she just sent us a bunch of hearts.
She did. There you go. Perfect. So maybe for somebody like Brandy, who her work schedule, her 9 to 5 schedule is consistent, and it basically looks the
Right.
same
So
every
it's not
week,
9 to 5.
right?
Monday
Yeah.
through Friday.
Okay. Perfect. So maybe what it is maybe instead of having to wake up earlier, or go to bed later every day to think you have to get your power hour in, right? Maybe that looks like, okay, instead of doing that, I'm going to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? This is when I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a half hour in the morning. I'm going to get a half hour in at night. And if something else happens to come up and I can get some time in, then that's what I'm going to do, right? So, and what you're doing is you're honoring your time, because if you can't put in what you need to put in to have your business be effective and do what needs to be done to grow, like it's going to be a moot issue because you're not going to be focused,
Right.
So
Okay.
you're still, just because you're setting it up so that it works for you, you're not putting soul first per se. You get what I'm saying? All you're doing is you're having it be balanced with everything else. Because if you try to do one way up here and one way down here in your life, this one up here is going to get burnt out and it's going to go away. And whether that's your soul business or your family or whatever that is.
I mean, and I've done that. I've pushed super, super hard to try and do everything and anything, and soul's the first thing. Like the next thing I know is like I've had a booming month, and then the next month sucks.
Yep.
Because I just don't have the energy, and I just don't care.
Yeah. Well, and that's with like anybody that has their own business, right? Like you're gonna see that up and down, but what would it look like if you could be consistent, right? And you could have that same level of energy and excitement and you weren't burnt out. And like I said, that's what happens when you don't have that balance of life and business, you're going to get burnt out. And yeah, it's great that like you have a great month and then you get burnt out and then you have a great month and then you get burnt out. But how long do you think that's even going to last?
Exactly.
You know? So anyway, so look at what you can do as far as, you know, maybe it's not something you're doing every day, you know, and that kind of thing, you know, something if you're, and you also want to look at too, like if your business is mostly on social media, you want to definitely find a way to still be present there on somewhat of a regular, right? So maybe part of your work day, you know, part of your work time that you're doing is you're planning out what your posts are going to be, you know, so that you're not taking 20 minutes every day to figure out what you're going to post about or whatnot. Right. So, and that's what we did on a power call today. We just that was part of, you know, coming up what your topics of the day were going to be for the rest of the week to know what you're going to post about. So having that, you know, creating your content of what you're going to post about, like that's work time too. Right. Because part of your business is on social media, and part of what needs to happen for that is you need to be present, you know, so you need to be seen, you need to be consistent. And with that, so you definitely want to, even though your power hours or your work time might not be every day, you still want to try to just be present somehow every day, you know, on Facebook, whether it's you know, I know Becky Munger, like she does a morning motivational post every single day, no matter what. Like that's just something that she posts, you know. So, and there are, you have like Hootsuite, there's a couple of different posting, like third party things that you can use to set up automatic posts, you know, that can kind of help with that too. Okay. So we have looking at when your work time is going to be, okay. How does everybody's schedule look as far as that goes? Okay. Yaz, did you get your work time in booked off? Okay. Awesome. Okay. So
Kristen.
in that, yep.
Okay, so as I'm sitting here making notes of things, I know my video's not on, sorry.
Oh, there you are.
when you
Hi.
said- you were talking about buffer time. Your buffer time is just like if we're running late, or what do you mean by buffer time?
So buffer time is going to be like I might give myself 15 minutes every 2 hours for buffer
Okay.
time. So what happens is that's if a client call runs late. That's if, you know, if I end up taking 2 showers in one day or whatever. It could be anything. It could be, you know, one of the kids needs something, you know, and my time is thrown off a little bit. So usually what I try to go by is I just do I'll do 15 minutes just because that's what my thing is broken up to, you know, like every 2 hours, depending on how it's. Now, if I have just chill time, because I also block off chill time, and that's one of the things that I have down here too, like block off your chill time. Like it actually says in my book, chill time, and it's blocked off for a certain amount of time. Generally, that's not during the middle of the day, because if it was, it would just be the whole rest of the day. But, you know, I know if John's home, you know, I'm like my chill time, I try to after dinner, you know, I try to not schedule anything after dinner because he works 4 to midnight. So our time at home at nighttime doesn't happen often. So block that chill time off, right? Because too, that's going to give you the freedom to sit and watch Ozark, right? without being like, I should be doing all these other things. No, it's okay that I watch it because I just gave myself permission to have chill time, you know?
Okay,
So,
so that helps me because I sit there and go, okay, gosh, if I block it out so tight, because I am one that's like, okay, every second. And so sometimes when the teachers say, oh, I forgot to add this to the homework, I'm like, really?
mhm,
We've already done the homework for today, but
Yep.
that way I'll be a little bit more easygoing
Yep.
about that. And I love the idea about chill time.
Yep.
And I would like to watch Ozark, but it's TVMA. So I can't watch TV Mature with my kids.
Right. Do they have bedtimes? We'll talk about bedtimes too.
Okay, I need help with the bedtimes right now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So Ozark's the bomb. My husband just finished it.
See,
Oh my goodness.
well, one that we started watching, and I know you're recording this, but we've been watching, oh crap, never mind, I can't remember what it is. Haven. And like weird things happen. So, but this is, my kids can watch that even though now I'm like, okay, into the second season going, we probably shouldn't watch this anymore. But anyways, so I'm like, that's not a normal thing. I've never binge watched anything in my life.
Us either. Nope. Nope. And what you want to look at too is like evening out. Like if you find that you're giving yourself, that you're consistently having like 3 hours of chill time every day, but you're thinking that you can't get your work thing in, then you want to kind of reevaluate. And hopefully you're working with an accountability partner that you're going to send your schedule to, and they're going to be like, you couldn't work because why? Because you were so close to finishing Ozark? Well, let's talk about that. So yeah, so like I said, you want to look to be sure that you have your buffer time, your family time, your partner, spouse, whatever time, and that can be within the family time too. But then you want to look at, bedtimes for the
According
kids.
to my husband.
Right? Well, that's what I was just going to say.
No.
That's what I was just going to say, Colleen, and I love that you ended up putting that in with your husband too. But what you want to do is you want to look at, having, if your kids having a bedtime at, a reasonable time so that you can have that quiet time with your husband, right? Or your spouse or your partner or whoever. And then, look at you time, and maybe your you time is like sitting down, eating your lunch, unplugged from everything. Maybe it's not you replying to messages. It's not you, maybe it's listening to personal development while you eat your lunch, sitting there with your computer closed, whatever that is. Okay. Because that is fueling your mind and your mindset and all that stuff too. Your workout time, if that's a priority to you, which is also great for mindset. And don't forget to schedule time to make your schedule. Okay. So if you're not scheduling time to actually create your schedule, how's that going to work?
But see, shouldn't we just be scheduling it all week, like when our next appointment comes up or whenever any of these reminders?
Well, you can add to it, right? Like if appointment comes up, but you want to know, like when your week is starting, you want to kind of know what your week looks like, because you want to know when you can take clients, when you can plan a lunch date, when you can do this, when you can make cinnamon rolls, like you want to know when you can do all those things, right? So to have like a base at the beginning of the week so that you, for the most part, know what your week looks like, and then as things come up or as client calls come up or whatever, then you can always add in, right? But what you want to do is like say whenever your week starts, everybody's week kind of starts at a different time, and that's okay. But like I know come Monday, because my, even though all the days are the same right now, I know that I do the same thing, every Sunday. I'm going to I only go to the grocery store once a week. So I do that and I go at the same time, and I come home and I do all the, cleaning out of the fridge and doing all that stuff. Like that's what Sundays, and I listen to church at the same time just because we're not there. So Mondays are a little bit different. That's when my like quote unquote work week starts. So by Monday when I open, I don't want to not know what my week is going to look like. Right. So definitely I take time on Sunday night or Saturday, or really any point over the weekend. And I just take like, 15 minutes and I go through and I make sure my schedule is in. Now, these things I'll go further along in the month. Like if I know I have a team call every Thursday at 12 o'clock. I know, there's certain things that I know are consistent every week. So I will add those in, ahead of time if I know what they are. I'll add doctor's appointments in ahead of time if I know what they are, right? Okay, so then you come to the end of the week, right? And we talked about, those freedom and fun things come up. You want to just make sure that you're allowing yourself to be flexible, but not too flexible, right? You don't want to allow yourself to be too flexible or not be accountable for getting your work time in. If you say that growing your business is a priority, then you want to be putting in the time that you're going to need to make that happen. Okay. And, maybe depending on what your guidelines are or what your time frame is for how you're going to grow your business, that may look like more or less time, like if you're not in a super rush, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just like, I'm working this business and I'm working it consistently, and whatnot. So, then what is really awesome, what I love doing is I love checking things off when they're complete. Whether that's across it's that pen to paper satisfaction. I'm telling you, like, it's so powerful, right? Yes, yes. So look at, when you've completed it, like cross it off, right? Because then too, what it can do is like when you go back, like say tomorrow, you go back and you're like, oh, everything's crossed off except a shower. How did I not get a shower? Right? Like whatever. Or if there was a work task that you were going to do, or if there were, I don't know, whatever it is you were going to do, like my office still needs to be cleaned so bad, and if I'm like, oh, crap, I didn't get that half hour of office cleaning in. So I should probably, and I didn't put it somewhere else because I forgot, right? So you're like, you go back, it's very clear what you didn't do. So you get to put that somewhere else. Okay. And that's just having you be accountable. And then really just checking off what you've completed. That's a way to kind of like share your win, and just kind of like reward yourself. Some people might reward themselves with a bubble bath because they had a crazy, awesome schedule for the week, whatever that looks like. It may be a glass of wine out of a moose glass, like who knows what that could be as a celebration. So, and then when you come to the end of your week, and this is going to be reiterated from, I think, Monday on the power call. But when you come to the end of your week, right, before you're creating for the next week, what you want to do is look at, okay, you're going to take these 4 questions, okay, and you're going to look at your week. And these 4 questions is literally you can, every part of your life, you can kind of use these questions to kind of do a check of where you're at. But the questions are, what's working? Or you can say what worked or what works, whatever, any form of that. What didn't work? What was missing? And what can be put in? Okay. So if you're looking at you created your schedule and you get to the end of the week and you look back and you're like, yeah, that you want to look back and be like, okay, what worked about that week? Because you don't want to continue to do something if it's not serving you and if it's not working, right? And if you're not finding the balance and you're not having the freedom and ease around your life and your business and whatnot, right? So you want to look at like, okay, well, what worked about last week? Well, what worked was I definitely got my power hour in every day. I got all my meals prepped on Monday. I was able to take Wednesday off, and whatnot. Like, so you look at all these things that worked, right? Because you're not always going to focus on the negative because that's not good. That's like poison for your brain, right? So then you can look at like, okay, well, what didn't work? Well, what didn't work was, I didn't, and this was last week, but like, I didn't get my office clean last week. Like that didn't work, right? So I let something take over that time. And what didn't work was, I missed 2 workouts last week or 3 workouts last week. Like that didn't work because that's not what I'm committed to. Like I'm committed to being healthy. I'm committed to working out, being a regular part, not just so I said I work out, because I know I feel better, right? And I know it's better for my general well-being, right? So say those are the things that didn't work, right? So what was missing, right? What was missing was time blocking, like was detailing within my time blocking. And that's what we were talking about earlier, Holly, right? So instead of just being like, what I was doing for my time blocking is I was saying like house stuff, right? And that could be cleaning bathrooms, doing laundry, like whatever house stuff needs to be done, right? Well, I ended up going, I started to clean the bathrooms and then I was doing some laundry and I'm like, oh, this could be dusted and that could be dusted and da 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 da, which is okay too. But I have a huge priority that I need to get my office clean. Like I need to, and it doesn't work that I didn't do that, right? So that's where the details and the time blocking, where I know, like if I have an hour for bathrooms and floors, and then I have an hour for cleaning my office, if I get my bathrooms and floors done in 45 minutes, right, and I feel the desperate need to dust something, like, okay, I'm going to let myself dust for 15 minutes, right? But if I'm just like house stuff, like office isn't even going to be in my mind, and it's not going to be in my mind because I really don't want to do it. So I'm going to continue to resist it anyways, and it's going to like very conveniently fall out. So that's what I mean in the time blocking stuff too. And when you have, like, if you know what clients you have and you have, maybe you have an appointment book, like I know with my clients, I have to write, like instead of just saying work, I write who my calls are and how long they are. Right. And whatnot. Inside your work time, you're gonna, don't just write work, right? Like who are the people, or don't just write follow up. Like who are the people that you're following up with, right? Every month, like who are your prime people, right? Those people have names, right? Which is awesome, right? They have names, and those are the people that you're making a difference for this month, right? So instead of just saying work on prime or follow up, whatever, you got to be intentional and be like, who am I following up with? And for some, like there's, you might be using a CRM for that, whatever. So depending on, what it is that you're using, but still, still be as intentional and as detailed as you can, with doing the details within the time blocking. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that is pretty much, and then you look at it again, you look at those questions. So yeah, so that's what didn't work. I'm sorry, I went off the trail. And then, what was missing, I said, was the time blocking, right? So what do I need to put in for next week? So when I sit down, because I now have a half hour that I'm dedicating to creating my schedule, I can look at all those questions. What worked, what didn't work, what was missing, and what can I put in? So now, instead of, when I book off my stuff, what needs to be put in is I need to do a detailed time block of who I'm following up with, who I need to do, instead of just saying soul work. Like I'm going to, what should be in there is, 20 minutes to send out an email, right? Like go in and check on another 20 minutes to, or 15 minutes or whatever, to go in and reach out to your Soul Safe members. What are you going to do for them? What are you going to, so that you're following up, so that you know exactly what you're doing. And you actually save so much time when you know exactly what you're doing in those blocks of times. All right. So that's really all I have, to share with you guys. And, definitely, like, what questions do you guys have? Are these tools that you think can help make a difference for you? So just, I definitely want to hear like some feedback on kind of what you got and any questions that you have.
This was great. This was exactly what I needed. I think I'm going to probably need, like, in a couple of weeks, like a
Refresher.
to like actually see if I'm doing it in the way that's best for me. But no, this was huge. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Holly, do you have any questions or anything? No? Okay. Awesome. Yes. How about
I I actually made my schedule like I've been talking about forever.
Yay!
As a stay-at-home mom with 2 littles, I have a lot of buffer space, as you call it. But I've got the key things that I want to focus on down. And if I overschedule myself, I'll make myself crazy. So I've done a perfect balance of like major things, and I'm all about checking things off. I feel more accomplished at checking things off than I do actually scheduling a schedule, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So this has been great for me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You are so welcome. Awesome. Colleen, I know you're kind of multitasking doing work, but do you have any questions, or were you able to, did this give you a little bit more insight?
No, it helps me out, after doing that schedule before, but doing the 15-minute increments and all the added extra, time in there. I mean, I know I should probably schedule, because I always have to have like my mind downtime periodically throughout the day, because of trying to work both businesses, and all of a sudden now switching gears from, actually working in a surgery center with patients directly to everything I'm doing now is on a computer at home. So I need that mindless stuff. So I have to schedule in my Candy Crush time, because that's my mindless, let me just zone out and just be me and, find the Candy Crush. But yeah, so no, this has been a huge help. Huge.
Awesome. Corinne, I know we did some talking about schedules earlier today too, but did you have any questions that came up like throughout the training and any of that? And did it bring some clarity for you?
Lots of clarity. And I used to have a calendar like this. Here's Matthew. He got up, did his hair today.
Love it.
He didn't even have a scheduled Zoom call.
Hi, Harley. My favorite. Hi, Matthew.
But it's just whatever I can fit in. As we're doing this call, he scoots a little table up to the chair I'm sitting at and deals me a hand of Uno. He says, I thought we could just do it at the same time. So we've been multitasking and getting in a little bit, because I have been on calls all morning. But no, all of this was so great. I used to use a calendar like this a couple of years ago, and then kind of got away from it when, probably the last 2 years. But things were working then. You hear that saying, things worked so well, I quit doing it. That's exactly where we were, and that's what we always have to go back to the basic of things, because we get comfortable and we think, okay, I can do it without that. But I'm excited to use that calendar again.
Awesome.
So, and as we're on the call, look at this. Okay. There's my Cafe Rio chicken, Cafe Rio rice, and Cafe Rio beans. All going.
Love it.
So
And I've had that before. That's amazing. I love it. Awesome. All right. Well, good. And Brandy, I put in the chat, if you had any questions, just let me know. And yeah, so that was awesome. So definitely implement, and we can do a check-in. We're all with each other enough that we can kind of check in and, just see how it works. And, if you're not able to get I actually created one for Corinne, because we weren't sure she was going to be able to get it, but there are templates, that you can have you can make in Google Sheets too, if you're looking for something with the 15-minute increments. So you can definitely do that too. But Corinne, what was the price of that online?
$20.
Okay, perfect.
But they did not have your number that you gave us would not come up. So I just had to look at each of the calendars. Sorry. I had to look at each of the calendars so that I could see, make sure that it went every 15 minutes.
Oh, good.
So,
okay. Awesome.
I made sure that I did that, but when I typed in that number, it is not there.
That's probably because I bought them all.
It could have been. Do you have one in every room of the house?
Right? No, I can only handle writing in one.
I know.
All right, you guys.
This was his science for today.
Look at that. Wow.
The wooden puzzle that is a skeleton. The guy around here cuts him
and gives instructions for $10. That's all that one
is
was.
amazing.
So we're having fun with, I mean,
Yeah.
I know I need to rely on those teachers, but we're doing our own thing. So-
Correct. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop recording. So this is awesome. We'll do a check-in and all that. So if any questions come up, definitely
Stand it up right here.
feel free to reach out and share this training with anybody that you think could benefit from it too, and all that. So I'm gonna stop the recording now. Yay.